Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Nation News, and we have an update on the Tasha Zach story. Now, hold on a second. I know we're reaching, we're grasping for clues, but it appears on Christmas, Tasha wore the same hat that Zach used to wear when they were dating. This photo is not recent, okay? I don't want to be accused of clickbait. This photo is from Valentine's Day, almost a year ago. Zach's got the hat on. Tasha has the hat on now. Now, some people go, look, hey, if you're cold, you're cold. Put a hat on. And other people say, hey, I burn all my ex's stuff. What do you guys do? Leave a comment. When you're done with your ex's stuff, do you burn the hoodie? Do you burn any resemblance of them? Usually if a relationship ends, you don't want to be reminded of them. Or is there just more going on? So I'm going to play some of your comments. I'll read them for you. And I've got a great voicemail I'm going to read. And then I'll show you this video where they're eating macaroons on Valentine's Day. And, other people have commented that, it's amazing that this marathon that she ran was just in November. You see all these photos of how happy they were. What the heck went down? We still don't know. We don't know if it were producers that wanted her to stay away from the After the Final Rose, or if she was disgruntled. And this is another theory that people have had, that Tasha may have been disgruntled by the way, I wouldn't call her men tell all conversation botched when she walked off camera. But if that's not how she wanted things to go down, if she didn't want to further go into her relationship because she knew deep down the relationship was still had a heartbeat, then maybe she didn't want to, be at the After the Final Rose. Hard to say. I know I sound like a conspiracy nut here, but we're working with the information we have, which isn't much. So I'll read a few of your comments, but this was the video we made a few days ago, right? Back with Zach. Tasha's liking a few of Zach's tweets. Not a big deal, says some people, and everyone's different. Some people goes, not a big deal, you like, you this, you that. And other people go, are you kidding me? No, you go no contact when a relationship's over. No contact, you part ways, this and that. So here's a few of your comments. I think you have a really good point about them punishing her for not acting the way they thought she would have. Of course, this is referring to the men tell all. I think I may have said that point in the last chat with the voicemails, but that you had when that situation was being discussed, and to hear you say it means I am probably on the right track with that thought. It could also be that she was disgusted by them because they took liberties with her private breakup with Zach. Maybe she wasn't ready to talk about it, and they shoved it down her throat and put it on national TV. Well, Caitlin Bristow said that Tasha and the producers wanted this conversation to happen, but who knows? Maybe the producers and Tasha off air said, we need this guy. You know how Chris Harrison strong-armed Dale into proposing to Claire, like, if you love her, you'll propose. The producers might have been Tasha. If you want to stay in our family, you got to do this on air. I don't see that being a wild reality. Okay. Bond Blue said, why are your eyes so red? I sure hope that Tasha and Zach do get back together. I guess time will tell. Happy New Year's, Dave. Why do people feel the liberty to ask these questions? My response was, I don't know. I filmed this at 7 a.m. I've been up all night watching Netflix and eating chocolates. Why are my eyes so red? You know what I mean? And then someone was like, well, maybe they're just looking out for you. It's like, I get it, but like, what a weird thing to say. Rosa said, you look high. And I said, good God, I can't believe people would say these things. I can't. Is it what women have to deal with all the time, men commenting on their appearance? I'm 36 and a half years old. My eyes get red. You know what I mean? Tony said, wow, it really baffles me how everyone tries to add or change the narrative to why Tasha and Zach broke up and why she didn't go to the After the Final Rose. Can it possibly be just as simple as they needed to separate due to buildup of irreconcilable differences? And also she might have been exposed to COVID and there's no conspiracy theory behind it? Tony, that's absolutely possible. I don't have a YouTube video then, okay? So we're looking at clues. Sometimes the clues are right. When people were claiming that Tasha and Zach broke up, everyone's like, they're not broken up, they're happy. It turns out they broke up. You know what I mean? So sometimes the clues lead to something. If there's a bread trail, I'm going to carbo load. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Maybe after January 1st, I won't be eating carbs, but right now it's all Olive Garden and hope. We live in a day and time where no explanation is taken at face value because for some reason people need it to be more. No matter what reason is given, something will be suspect, and I get why they don't go into detail because it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Perhaps every explanation to date that we know from her is an actual fact. Hey, Tony, you're probably right. I'd like to take what people say at face value. I don't encourage anyone to DM them, message them. If people take the energy, they message me asking me if my eyes are red and message Tasha and Zach, that's bogus. Leave them alone. By all means. If you need to get it out, comment on this page. They're not watching this. By the way, we're going to have a video coming up next, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already, about Tayshia being accused of being a terrible person to two podcasters. They say their worst experience with a celebrity this year was Tasha and Zach. I'm going to get into that. It's an interesting story, and I'm 100% on Tayshia's side of that story. So for all the people that go, oh, Dave, you hate Tayshia and this and that, I'm on Tayshia's side. I'm also on Tayshia's side here with regards to how I feel like she's been manipulated in ways by the Bachelor producers. She's a commodity to them. She's a product of Bachelor producers. They're cashing the check. So last comment here. No one has pointed out the Red Acne Studios hat. This was originally Zach's hat. Not sure if she had a matching one or what, but I find that interesting. Tayshia fans like me associate that hat with Zach. She also wore this a second time on Christmas. All right, so the hat's not necessarily just some random hat. It's a hat Zach wears. Now Tayshia has it. Why would Tasha, who just came from New York, why would she have Zach's hat? I don't know. Violet said, I noticed that too. Both had the Acne Studio hat in past posts on Instagram. She wore it at the beach on Christmas Day and mentioned reflection in her statement. So I had to go through a little bit of work. I had to go do a little bit of digging to find this post on different fan pages from almost a year ago. But here's Tasha and Zach on Valentine's Day. Let's see if we got any voice audio here. We might not have. Here we go.
Babe, the game, and champagne. I'm a new believer. I love this day.
Well, there she is, Tasha and Zach. I love the look at this lack. Look, you're getting in the way of my game, honey. All right, so he's got the hat on there. Ash. So by the way, I'm recording this during the Patreon live stream right now. You're watching this afterwards in the public. If you want to be a Patreon member, it's patreon.com/Dave Neal, and the Patreon live stream is where I'm kind of sourcing a lot of my content, showing you how the sausage is made behind the scenes. And Ash and Kay on the Patreon live stream said, I Googled the hat brand. Those are like $150 hats. Let me slide this up right here. So very fascinating. My guess is that was a gift. The brand probably gave them both hats. I'd assume there were two hats. All right, so there's the idea that there's multiple hats. Jack just doesn't seem like he'd buy a hat that expensive. I don't know. Zach doesn't seem like he'd buy a hat that expensive. I don't see Zach buying a hat either, but we don't have any evidence that there's two of the same hats. But even if there was, I mean, still, I don't know. We might not be onto something crazy here, but we might be. Let's go to. So we're going to go to this voicemail that we have. We'll stay on this main screen here. I'm going to play this voicemail about some other theories about their breakup.
Hi, Dave. This is Samantha calling from Calgary.
Hi, Samantha.
Love your show. My thoughts on Tasha and Zach. Love them. Hope they get back together. I was just curious if this part had been discussed, but Men Tell All, have any thoughts been circulated on maybe Tasha not wanting to go to the Men Tell All because she posted that Instagram story of her traveling so close afterwards? Maybe she was mad at them for how they treated her, and that was her way of kind of saying, like, she was exposed to COVID. She didn't want to go back on the show, but hey, I'm going to post this story that I'm still traveling. So kind of like a slap in their face, like, I made this decision. So yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking. I don't know if anyone else expressed those thoughts, but maybe it was her choice not to go back. So anyways, thank you so much. Love listening. See you out there.
Bye, Samantha from Calgary. Thank you so much for the call. If anyone else has a voicemail they want to leave, 401-213-9828. Save it now. If there's any breaking news stories you want to call in, 401-213-9828. It's much appreciated. A very good point here. Tasha might have said, hey, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to address this. I don't feel comfortable the way it was handled. And they're like, no, you got to do this. You're under contract. You have to do this. And then Tasha's agent's like, well, why don't you say you were exposed to COVID? Now, listen, she was exposed to COVID. She lives in New York City. She was exposed to COVID. We've covered that. She was exposed to COVID. And by the way, I've gotten so many messages from people. I'm not kidding. So many messages from people saying, hey, don't share this. Keep it on the DL. I agree with you, but people are afraid of just getting like, I don't know what it is with Tasha where maybe she has a lot of fans that kind of fight back, but people don't want to share their actual thoughts on the matter because they're afraid of getting like called out or whatever. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't even breathe any light into this, but I get at least every Tayshia video I make, I get called a racist and misogynist. It just happens. It just happens. You just almost have to accept it at this point. Regardless, I could be like, Tayshia cures cancer, saves the world from impending doom, and writes an Oscar-winning movie. You homophobe. You know, they just start calling me things. It's like, what are we doing here? Cite your sources. So with this caller, it's fascinating to think that, well, maybe Tayshia's team, her manager agent said, you know, we're going to pull the COVID card. So, you know what, you guys can have it. We're kind of done with this. Maybe she's making a ton of money already doing other projects. And she's like, all right, you want to use me as a commodity for the show? I don't think so. Or the show used it to be like, look, stay back in New York. Be safe. We're just going to go with Caitlyn on this. You've been exposed to COVID. No big deal. Here's the statement you're going to make, X, Y, and Z. Those are your two options. The centrist option, which Tony would probably say is the most accurate one here. Go back to Tony here, which I do appreciate you, Tony. Her argument would probably be like, or the truth is she was exposed to COVID and she wants to be a good person and not get anyone else exposed. And my thought is that's totally fair, but I stand by my point that the mental all being a sort of Super Bowl. I'm sorry, the After the Final Rose being the Super Bowl of live hosting jobs that she could ask for. Not many live hosting jobs out there. You're not getting Dick Clark's New Year's Eve celebration here. So the After the Final Rose, that's your Super Bowl. And for her to not test positive and still not make her flight, people say, oh, Dave, that's putting people at risk. All of New York City, first of all of New York City's exposed, right? You get into the airport, you're exposed. Okay, so it's not like they're just grounding flights out of New York City. The whole conversation, people can get very triggered by. I understand we're talking about the pandemic. We're not making light of it. But this issue of why Tayshia was able to not make it to the After the Final Rose, but make it to Southern California 2 days later, while also wearing a hat that Zach wore and liking a few of his tweets. Listen. One breadcrumb, but we're starting to see a trail. We're going to follow this trail. Let me know what you guys think. You can call the voicemail line 401-213-9828 or leave a comment below. We'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye, guys.